1, and that is it. Free Flow
Yeah.
Saturday, episode number 36. God damn. Talk about focus.
Good stuff. I mean, I'll put
Yeah?
these phones away.
Hmm? Number 36.
This is Umbue.
Hata yangu nimeweka silent mode.
Mm,
Missed calls will be dealt with later.
good stuff.
So number 36. Man, I like how we started when we used to say, oh, life is tricky. Oh, life, and where is there a book? Is this, are we performing neurosurgery here or what? Yes.
And can you see I'm branded today, bro? What's up,
Oh
bro?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Branded today, bro. I've
Huh?
got the official
Were you
official
attending a
colors.
football match? I normally associate that with.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. Today I was actually planning to do a hike, but then we had this Saturday thing, the Umuganda, where they
Yeah,
do community service. So
okay.
that went through the window. But yeah, I mean, I remembered I bought one of this. I need to get one of the one for Kibe and stuff. And then I was like, the good thing with this one, I don't need to iron. It's ready to go. So if I had to pick the other t-shirts, I had to iron and whatever.
Wash
This
and
one is
wear.
wash and wear, bro. Easy peasy.
Did you buy it online or there's a shop selling Kenyan
No,
stuff?
there's a Kenyan guy here who actually supplies this. So you can
Mm.
even get like the rugby one, and then you can get the others from your typical Arsenal Manu type
Okay.
jerseys.
Mm.
I want to also get a Rwandan one. There's another Rwanda one I see.
Mm.
So I need to get one of those. Represent my adopted home, and of
Yes,
course
the
my
people
actual
hosted you
home.
nicely. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
nice.
they've been very kind to me. So I've got to represent them somehow. At least I do actually like doing that when I
Mm.
travel. Sometimes get something that represents that country.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
but
nice.
yeah,
That's nice.
good
Well,
stuff. Yeah, you are talking of how we. What was it you're saying? How we
yeah, we
take
normally, whenever I see somebody wearing
overcome
that, is
difficulties.
mostly maybe there's rugby sevens or Harambee Stars is going to get some
Oh
drubbing
yeah,
somewhere. Is when you see
yeah.
our
If we've got one
our
of those teams around,
so-called patriotism comes into play.
yeah. When we
I,
see
I
the
know. I
likes of
normally say, if you want to
Mhm.
be truly patriotic, don't steal. Huh? Don't steal.
100%,
Huh. If you
100%.
if you really want to to say that you're patriotic, let's give you access to public funds, or not necessarily public funds from a large group of people that you're supposed to manage, and
Mhm.
sort of you being the not necessarily decision maker, but the coordinator. Other people make their decisions, like the group will make the decision. You be the coordinator. Can you do that without stealing a single coin? Now
Mhm.
that's patriotism.
And you remember the other day when we were talking about what should we do about corrupt government officials, and some people found it so ridiculous when we said things like they should be, put get a firing squad, let them be eliminated, you know.
No problem with that.
And they are saying, what? You're saying we kill people? But that's exactly what they are doing. When you steal from a hospital that kills hundreds of people because there was no medical supplies uh, and things like those, when you don't put up a good road and accidents happen, what does that mean? You literally are killing people.
Mm.
So for you to be killed should be fair game.
No problem at all.
It's a kind of and this is the reason why sometimes we don't want to confront truths and reality. And it's again it's the world that we
You
live in.
do the Chinese way. You are
And it
found
is,
corrupt, you are hanged.
oh yeah, you're
Mm.
hanged right there and then. And it's so basic, but people are saying, but how can you excuse the soft life that or rather, what did you call it?
Yeah,
The
we have become
weaknesses that we've allowed.
adopted. There are generations which have been born to corruption, like
Mm,
people who are in 20s, 21,
mhm,
people born in 2000, people born in 1999. They are born into the system.
mm.
They know very well to get this, you have to bribe, you have to this. It is normal when a driver, for PSV driver should have 100 shillings not in his pocket
But
when he
but you
comes
know what?
ready.
I feel actually that kind of corruption has, in a sense, reduced. Maybe it could be a combination of things. One, the introduction of technology. When you have platforms like eCitizen, although they are now getting compromised by people trying to push their own agendas. But I think, in a sense, particularly, I think when Kibaki came in, he did, in some sense, rein in on some of this sort of petty corruption. I've given you the example that I've had a few traffic infractions, and I've stood firm, said I'm not going to give the police bribe. If it means going to court, let me go to court. I've had two scenarios. One was, I think I had one tire that was a bit worn out. What was the other one? I don't remember.
In
Um,
Kenya,
but yeah, I mean, I think must have been 2019, 2018, 2019.
uh,
And I went in and went through the court system. You know, I think when the police caught me, I asked them, I'll go and replace it the following day because I didn't
mm,
know about it. It was, one
mm,
of those things that happen if you're not,
mm,
sort of always looking at your tires, you might not
mm,
pick it up.
mm,
And she said no, because she would have given me a warning and said, make sure you attend to
mm,
that. She has that power. She said, no, we have to go to the police station. I went into the police station,
mm,
paid a bond of what do they call it? Is it a bond? I paid about 5,000 shillings,
mm.
and then I was told, report here tomorrow morning 8 a.m. We go to court, and I did exactly that. That was my first thing I did in that day.
You reported to the police station first.
Reported to the police station the following day at 8 a.m. They bundled
Mm.
us up in the van.
In that
We
huge
went to
green thing.
no, it's in the they have those pickup trucks, those Toyotas or Fords that they have. So I
Oh,
got
the
there
blue
inside,
ones.
and yeah, are they blue or
Mm.
dark green? So one of
The,
those.
uh,
So yeah, then we went. It was because the incident actually happened around State House Avenue.
mm,
So they took me. We went, and where I paid the bond was at Kilimani Police Station,
mm,
and that's where I also reported the following day at 8 a.m. And
mm,
from there, they took us to Milimani Law Courts.
mm,
Um, there was so the only thing, one, it just eats on your time, because when you report, when you go in, there'll be a number of other cases that will be attended to first, and then they'll come to yours. So the prosecutor would announce, and then the judge, then you'll be asked, do you have anything to defend? Many a times you're already coached, so you're told just plead guilty, and then the judge will give a pronouncement. So I went there. I decided, let me also plead. Let me, you know, I didn't feel intimidated in any sense. I
mm.
went there, and then the judge asked, "So, what do you have to say for yourself?" So I said, "I didn't know about it. I would have wished if I would have gotten a warning." Um, then she said, "Don't do that again. Go get that wheel changed, but you'll have to be penalized." I was fined 2,500.
Wow.
So what happens is, when you're fined, then you still remain at the court. The judge will make the other pronouncement, go through the other cases, then should leave. Then they'll come in. They'll come with a PDQ, and of course the M-Pesa code.
Mm-hmm.
All of it you'll have to pay cashless, because of course when you pay cash, then somebody could take the money. So initially I was thinking they can deduct it from the 5,000, but they said if we do that it takes a bit long. Okay, so I said okay, let me pay for it, and then I'll follow my 5,000, because the 5,000 you're supposed to get it back.
Did you get it back?
I did.
Wow.
But because people get intimidated by the whole process,
Yeah, that's
the
what
time
that's what they rely
element, you
on.
don't know what yeah, that's what they rely on, that intimidation, and then you know not knowing the process in its entirety, so you're clueless, so they rely
Plus
on your
the
ignorance, and then
plus the time plus the time
the
factor.
time. Yeah, because this was my second time, so I knew my entire morning is
Mm,
gonna be messed up. I had canceled all my appointments in the morning.
mm,
Thankfully I was done by about say 12:30. So, but you can still see it just it's I think the first time
mm,
we went up to past 1 p.m. So
mm.
it definitely is quite a frustrating process. But yeah, I and to get that 5,000, I was directed to a room number something. Um, that whole process is definitely not
And you
one
could
that
have given this person like 1,000 bob and say, "Hi, Belembele."
mbelembele. It
Mm.
cost me a little bit more. If I had bribed, maybe it have cost me less and less time. But again, when you do that, then you just further perpetuate that whole corruption affair. So
I think
if they
maybe
start
maybe
getting
is it
oriented,
possible? Do they issue tickets in Kenya?
see, that's the other thing. If they are to issue tickets, then the best. See, like the way
Yeah.
here in Rwanda is,
Mm,
if you happen to have, it could be something like what? Overspeeding. There are
mm,
cameras. They
mm.
immediately take your number plate and immediately you'll be penalized. Whatever fee I think it's about 10,000 Rwanda francs, about 1,000 bob.
Yeah, make it ticket form so that you are given a time to pay it.
Yes.
Yeah. So and then maybe if you are a repeat offender, like you are always infracting and paying, they sort of red flag you and say, "Are you? What's going on?" Ah, Sharif Mustafa, karibu sana bwana. Welcome to the Free Throw Saturday, where two seemingly mad people are rambling about whatever it is
Yeah.
we are rambling about.
So
Anyway,
I think
I think.
corruption is
Hmm,
just people getting a little informed about the process,
hmm,
and yeah, it's gonna be hard. We can reduce it. We
hmm,
won't eliminate it for sure,
hmm,
but we can reduce it to some
hmm,
degree if the government is serious on.
hmm.
And I guess that's why the Kibaki regime really, and even remember that time when Kibaki was just coming in, people were even arresting, there was citizens arrest of policemen. So there was a wave, and people now,
By the way, if I may
that
ask,
shows
um,
and that
if,
shows how the leader can set the pace,
if I
like
may
here in
ask,
Rwanda. Mm.
when we talk of corruption, which one bites harder? This stuff on the ground, dealing with cops and whatnot, and the one that is above, where billions are stolen from treasury, like what Tata was telling us, that money that was being withdrawn to pay the national debt, it was being withdrawn, the national debt is not being paid off, something like that. How will we deal with that? Or if we deal with this small corruption between people like us and the cops, will it have any effect on the billion shilling scandals in any way? So that is the main headache. Like that thing which Omtata was saying, that was abnormal because he was claiming that technically we should not be having a national debt. We should not. The amounts that have been withdrawn to service the debt have gone past it. Kitambo san. So what we are doing, what like the thing about dealing with the policemen, dealing with the figures of authority in our day-to-day lives, does it have a reverse effect on what is happening on the on the big
On the
offices where
large
we have
scale, on the
yeah,
macro level now.
because that is
Have you
what really kills. That is what is killing us. What
That's
when
true.
somebody decides to raid treasury directly, that is what is murdering us, literally. Does it
I,
have any effect on that?
I mean, the sort of one-on-one between you and a police officer or a government official,
Mm,
one could look at it and say the impact is small. But also cumulatively, if several other Kenyans are doing the same, so you can imagine the impact. I think they each feed on each other. And this is what I said because, when Kibaki came in, the stance was now we're going to be more diligent and we're going to enforce integrity in terms of when you're a public servant and the like, and that almost had a trickle down effect because the stance from the top set the pace. That's why you had the citizens were so emboldened
mm.
to effect that's citizen approach, citizen arrest, and the like. So we have to fight it at both ends. You don't want this small corruption to grow into something big. And then, because if you think of Kenyan police, partly the culture it has been built around is corruption.
It's
And
based
to
on
fight it,
based on targets where the junior
exactly,
is told that mkubwa anataka.
this much
There's this
so
joke.
ukisimama hapo.
There's this sort of short comedy skit where Zuma give Tanui warning us. Then he says, niko ba igo nitaudie elfu tano. Then Zuma
Exactly.
wapi boy ambia boy ende wale barabara fulani uzanya elfu kumi lete kwa bara karaka. Then they're like, Game Boy, mtosi amegwama kwa baa tena. Such kind of stuff. So it
I
tells you
didn't
that
see it, but
it is systematic somehow.
it is. It
Mm,
is. But if the leader at the top, the top don at the top says there's no corruption,
mm,
then you have no otherwise but to follow that because he's
mm,
already set sort of
mm.
the mood and the culture of how things are gonna be running now with his administration and everyone under him. So um, that's why it's important the guy at the top. And we know corruption, in a sense, you can't eliminate it. It happens even in other
By
so-called
the way,
good.
I had
Uh,
an event. I was seated in the office of a rather top guy in some parastatal.
mhm.
Then he receives a phone and he's told, so he speaks, then he says, ati umeshikwa ulikuwa unaenda speed gani? Nilikuwa naenda 140. Sasa unaenda 140 kwa nini? Ati uko na Mercedes Benz unaenda 140? Mbona? Wewe unakuanga kichwa ngumu sana. Then he hangs up, calls another number. Hey, vipi? Poa. Achana na hiyo nyang'au. Hiyo nitadili naye mwenyewe. Then the
Mhm.
guy somehow is released.
Just like that.
Huh? Then he tells us, unajua hawa vijana wengine wanasumbua sana. Amenunua ile C200 mpya, sasa
Mhm.
anakimbia na 140. Lakini nimeambia wache nitaongea naye jioni. So he tells you and he's speaking just as a matter of fact. And to
Exactly.
me, we are not so familiar with each other. We are
Mm.
practically strangers. And you can just talk as a matter of fact. That will tell you that the system is quite it's quite battered, if I may say, because
It is.
that is now attitude. To him,
Mm.
it's okay. Say, this guy bought a C200, is going fast. I've talked to them, they release him. Then in the evening, I'll have a word with him. It's like, oh, and he doesn't know me personally. I just met him a few minutes earlier. That tells you that there's a there's a certain mental cancer
Mm.
that is in us because there's no shame.
It's a culture. It's a
No
culture
shame.
thing. I mean,
Mm.
that's why we were saying if you take a very good person and put them in the Kenya police
Ah,
system, already the forces he's operating in will change
they
his mind.
normally, when you
Just
become,
become as corrupt.
it's called Holy Jor, Mr. Goody Two Shoes. You'll be
Mm,
taken to some remote post there. You don't know, in Moyale or whatnot. They'll
exactly.
dump you there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They'll dump you there where you can't make a thing.
then basically, I think we can say that uh, if you can make a decision, those are organizations that you should not join.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
definitely you'll have to be corrupted.
Yes, that
That
you.
system is so strong.
Hmm.
Not unless a new sort of commandant or whoever is head of police decides this is the cancer we're gonna fight, and it won't even be
Or
easy
and
because it
now
will
problem
fight
with that
back.
one. Problem with that now, there
Mm,
comes in a new commander will come and he'll do his thing. But you see, that commander is human. He may fall sick, he may die, or something like that. Best way is adopt systematism, like those body cams.
yes. So
Yes, a
adopt
body
body
cam
cam,
system that is normally
introduce
reviewed
ticketing.
every month.
Mhm.
And it should be such that if your body cam is not working, you should not report to duty.
Mm.
And each station should have, like, if you have 30 police officers, the number of body cams should be doubled so that there's no issue of the body cam. You have your body cam is failed, you have two options, you have two spares for you there. So it is about systems. Then we have an independent body like IPOA now reviewing the footages every month, not even every week. There's a
Exactly.
body cam review, or even to make it better, that body cam footage should be uploaded to the cloud so that members of the public can actually review it, because these are public services. They say utumishi kwa wote. When you finish your duty, you plug it in. Then, of course, if there are some scenes which are a bit sensitive, those can be sort of put off. But generally, public should be able to access some of this footage for, let's say, judgment and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You are in court, somebody is saying you did this, you can go there, pick a certain time. And if, for example, you picked up a certain time, you had an interaction with the police officer, and that footage is not there, you can actually sue them for concealing in evidence. Because last time, I'm not a lawyer, but last time I checked, when you go to court, you should know what the other side, what data they have. If my knowledge of the law is whatever I know. So this is about systems. If you
Yeah.
link it to personality, so and so will change things and whatnot. What if it
No,
goes? We know of organizations where they say when so and so was there, this was like this. But you are not immortal.
that's true. I
Mm,
agree with when it's personality based or
mm,
based on an individual. The individual can probably influence
mm,
the sort of institutionalizing those reforms,
mm,
but it has to go beyond him. So
mm,
if it's to say that let's move away from a non-ticketing system, because you also don't want to overburden the courts. That whole approach. I remember even that time when I was in court, as we were waiting for the guy that we were supposed to pay,
mm.
it took so long, and then even those cops, while inside the courtroom, at that time the judge had left, were telling us, wacha mimi nitakufanyia hii, nipatie kitu kidogo, nitakuharakishia utoke haraka. So already, just imagine how and there's no respect that you're in a courtroom, and the guy is so bold enough. It's just exactly the experience you're sharing. He's so bold enough to say, I can help facilitate for you the payment to be done a little more faster. So they even, and I
Facilitation,
bet
what
they
facilitation fee?
frustrate the system. I bet
Mm.
that guy stays a little longer without coming because he wants to frustrate you so that you decide, hey, now how long am I going to be here? So you get a lot of that anxiety. If you're calm, you're good. But when somebody doesn't know what's the next step, how long it's gonna take, all these questions are going through you. They then take advantage of you and then say, wacha nikusaidie hapa, nitakusaidia ukue usaidike haraka haraka. That way they'll get a point for you to tip them. So yes, just systemize the whole system. You don't want a lot of these discretionary points where they have, or rather, because they have discretionary power. You don't want the human element. You want that reduced as much. Where payment, of course, has to be cashless. Ticket every kind of infraction that somebody has to go through. Let there be very minimal human being coming in, because if there is, then they'll take advantage of the system and frustrate it. Yeah. So anyway, if they systemize a lot of things, introduce things like ticketing, because all these small things that you encounter, speeding, whatever, shouldn't
In
mean you have
fact,
to go to
these
court.
things like speeding and whatnot, it should actually, they should adopt what we call a disruptive aspect. In that,
Mm,
uh, for example, when you have a certain number of unpaid speed tickets, it tampers with your M-Pesa transactions. The same
mm,
way, someone wants to buy bundles or Sambaza and tells you this man has a pending Okwa, he has a
mm,
pending Fuliza. So we can integrate it so that it actually messes up with your day-to-day operations. You want to send
mm,
money, it tells you you have a pending, you have three pending tickets for speeding. Please pay them as soon as possible to resume your normal M-Pesa transactions. Now people
mm.
become active.
Yeah.
Make it so strict that you can, when you're going to the bank, you're trying to do a transaction, the ATM tells you, or your mobile platform, your mobile banking tells you, you have some pending bills to be paid, traffic offenses. Just make it
Yeah.
in, because now that one, what are you going to do? Who are you going to bribe?
Okay. I mean, there is a danger of linking it, but I see we are gonna get to that point. Okay, like here, what they do, of course, they'll give you a time period. So when you get that ticket for, let's say, over speeding, you're supposed to pay for it, I think, within 24 to 48 hours. If you don't, you do get penalized. But you also don't want it to link it to many other things like your bank account and all those things,
Not
because then
really,
it
not
can
really.
become too it's like a bit invasive.
Well, it's not
But of
really.
course, there can be some kind of
It's not
penalties.
really nothing to
Mm,
do with your bank account per se.
mm,
You are simply okay. Of course, you're not going to access your bank account. You are simply red flagging the financial institutions that you are dealing with that irresponsible guy.
mm.
We are not touching your account. We are just informing the banking, the financial systems, who jamaa
Yes,
collect tickets up.
yes,
All right. So maybe the bank will maybe slow down your work. The same way your account can be flagged for money laundering.
yes.
Yeah. So you just even the bank manager will call you and say, hey, listen, we are doing very good business with that, with us, but traffic department is really on our neck. Mbona hii usimalize hii maneno haraka haraka? So those things, we are now inculcating the fact that you have to behave responsibly so that your
Mm,
life is smooth.
yeah,
Now there are no threats of prison or whatnot or afande nini. You just know that within a few months you'll be knowing that if I don't sort this thing out, my life is going to be interrupted in so many ways possible. And how do you sort it out? A few minutes of simply paying the same way. What do I call it? My see this Wi-Fi thing of mine that I use is normally cuts out on 7th.
mm,
So at 12 o'clock on 7, the internet goes off. 12 off. But when I make the payment, within 1 second of me getting the message, I can see the signal goes back. I tested it one day because I
mm.
tried to sort of rig the system and see how long I can go without paying. I realized when I woke up in the morning, my WhatsApp normally updates at 3. I woke up at 5, my WhatsApp is not updating because it is stuck, there's no Wi-Fi. Then wamenishikia hapo. I make the payment at 2 minutes past 5 o'clock.
Mm,
5:02 I make the payment. 5 or 3, the internet is back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So imagine such a system. You won't even be bothered about escaping a fund or what. You just know that the moment this thing you accumulate these tickets, your life will grind to a halt.
Mm,
You are somewhere trying to make payments. Where, dear customer, you have a pending traffic ticket on such and such a date, and you pay
mm,
it, and within seconds you are back. Within a very short time. You know the good thing about human beings, the human being is the most adaptive creature ever. People just know jamaa usipolipa watakusumbua. And si
mm,
kukusumbua na koti ama they'll just disturb you in every way possible. So it's about fashion. The human mind is beautiful to work with. Fashioning it is so easy.
mm,
You won't even buy that. You are used to, maybe you have to, you want to pay your Wi-Fi. I have to pay for my Wi-Fi by M-Pesa. Formula One is about to start airing and I have a ticket. Then that M-Pesa thing doesn't work. I know very well now I'm in trouble. And trouble
mm,
doesn't mean ending up in a cell. Trouble means everything around me going haywire, including
mm.
paying for my tokens for electricity. So it's all about fashioning people's minds. And that one,
That's
who do
true.
you bribe? Who are you going to bribe? Because M-Pesa, in fact, don't even bother with the banks. M-Pesa is enough.
Mm,
M-Pesa is enough. Whereby they will even give you warnings like you have two more M-Pesa transactions before your traffic tickets, that thing comes into effect.
mm,
So you're just fashioning, and that one even goes to the lowest ranking member of the society, financial.
mm,
In fact, you don't even have to. Within a month, people know that hii nikishikwa heri nichangamke. And the level of inconvenience it will cause, it will make people now be ready to follow the law. Because right now, the usual system, people are looking for loopholes.
mm,
It is now loopholes everywhere. Hii nikifanya hivi nitahepa, nikifanya hivi
mm.
nitafanyika hivi, But now this one, if it is affecting your finances and you're not stealing from you, we're just preventing you from spending your own money. Within a very short time, in the way human beings hate inconvenience, within a
Mm,
very short time, you'll just find that people facing the law, following the law. No arguments, no push and pull and whatnot. And it's just fashioning the human mind. The human mind likes convenience. We like comfort. So the moment you interfere with that comfort, let M-Pesa, even when it comes to technical glitches, let M-Pesa fail for 1 hour, and you'll see the outcry. Things go wrong. So I think it's all about just fashioning the human mind, training the human mind to believe that it is human to follow the law. That's what makes us different from animals like cattle, whom you have to follow around with a stick for them to go somewhere. The human mind is tailor made to follow the law. So if you fashion it by a set of incidences here and there, we won't even have to wait. You'll find a time when you can even switch off that system for a while and you'll find people just following the law.
yeah, it's all about
Yeah,
conditioning. It's all
yeah,
about
condition.
conditioning.
Yeah,
Once you
just
condition,
condition it.
I
And
mean, you've heard of those stories like in places like Dubai, you can literally leave your laptop bag
Mm,
somewhere, could be at a restaurant, forget about it, and you still
mm.
find it there.
Yeah.
Because I think one person, I remember reading an article saying, how do you begin enforcing some of these things, or rather conditioning our minds around it? And he said, one, you can apply a very strong penalty. Like I can imagine in Muslim countries, they say, when you steal, we cut off your hand. So the
Mm,
penalty for stealing is so high that, you look at that cost to yourself. No one wants to try that shit. And
mm,
before you know it, that becomes your nature. So
mm,
you understand that I've got no business taking something which is not of my own. I
mm,
also
mm,
see it here. I mean, I see people in restaurants. You can even see somebody going to the washroom, leaving the phone on the table, and nobody will touch it. I mean, there are some small other incidences, but on the whole, people do sort of they don't have this itchy fingers that you find, and it's all about how you condition the society. And I hope we can apply some of these things because partly we've liberalized ourselves so much where there's no you know boundaries set, anything goes, and it's all about put that cost higher, let it be something that really pains the person, then they'll know, no, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna do that.
inconvenience them so much that they'll say, ah, it's not worth it. I'd rather
Yeah.
grind. It's easier to grind and get this money than do
I've
this.
seen even in the West, people, this whole thing of drunk driving,
Mm,
people almost police one another. No, we won't allow you to drive your car if you're already drunk. We'll get you either an
mm,
Uber or somebody will drop you.
mm,
It's so instinctive, it's so natural.
mm.
Unajua and then in Kenya, of course, we'll operate a gari inajua nyumbani. Eh,
Then, even to make it worse, whenever they do these alcohol stops, the guy is now arguing with the police.
exactly.
"Ah, ninakunywa pesa yangu, hii ni yangu
Yes.
nakunywa." I'm like, and the most common one is whereby I saw it.
Mhm,
Somebody knows there's alcohol there. He drives. It's dark. So what he
mhm,
does, he stops the vehicle just near the roadblock. Then he
mhm,
jumps on the passenger seat and sits
mhm,
there. Now, then that's what is happening. Huyu jamaa
mhm,
alikuwa na drive akaruka kwa gari akatoroka.
mm.
Mm. So he's the one who was driving. So the police will ask, ameenda wapi? Mimi sijui, mimi nilikuwa tunaenda tu. So they cannot do alcohol on you when you're seated on passenger side.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now this is a system that encourages cat and mouse.
Mm.
Mm. I remember some time back, this was in Germany, I think. And this was, remember, this was in 1990s.
Mm.
They were testing this vehicle that has
Mhm.
a camera and has a gadget. That the vehicle has an alcohol gadget that you have
Mhm.
to blow in.
To start it.
Yes.
Wow.
And while you are
Okay.
driving somewhere along the line, it will ask you to it while you are on the road. On the road, if you're
Mhm,
driving for
mhm,
half an hour more, if you blow and the alcohol level is higher, it will slow down and stop and start blaring. The horns will be blowing and the lights will be flashing all over the place. So I was thinking, in Kenya, you
and
can
can it
imagine
even? It should be able to stop itself, I would imagine.
it will slow down to a stop, not an imagine. It will just
Okay.
slow down 50, 40, 30, 20. Then hazard lights will pop up. It will be it will be hooting all over on its own. It will just simply attract a lot of attention to yourself.
Mm.
Mm. But then again,
So
such
people know how
gadgets
to avoid it.
are
Yeah.
subject to tampering if you're in Kenya. Can imagine somebody in Kenya driving around with a balloon full of air. Ikiuliza unapulizia balloon ndani. Because we are used to trying to look for loopholes. You know very well
Mm.
that if you drink, you're going to cause problems. So at the end of the day, we have to find a way of fashioning our minds. So
Mm.
that's how it should be. I got a lot of so many responses. I tweeted there's this motorbike. This is the most impressive electric bike I've ever seen in quite a while. It's called the Commando.
Ah, yeah. I think I saw your. Was it on the spiral? The
Yeah,
spiral bikes.
yes. It's called Commando. So when I looked at its specs, it's actually 6.5 kilowatts. That is a killer. That
Mm.
bike is crazily powerful. That one can work up country, carry loads, go uphill. 6.5 is fantastic. It's beautiful. Their only shortcoming is battery range. They're using a 2.5 kilowatt battery.
Mm. Okay, so
2,
that can take you how long? How many kilometers?
2.5 kilowatts, that is theoretically 75 kilometers theoretically,
So that
because
it's more, it's very much a city bike, eh?
a
Unless you
city
have
bike where
good,
there are not a lot of
good
hills
charging
and
spots.
what,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of uphills. You're not expecting people to
Let me try
carry.
and see if we can open it. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've also seen them here. So you said
They're in
the
Rwanda too. They're in
yeah, I've
Rwanda, Togo, Benin.
seen them here.
In
Spiros. So you
Kigali.
said they are manufactured in Mombasa.
No, okay, no, I don't want to, when you are posting about a company, you
Mm.
give information based on what they say.
Yes,
But my take is this looks like an assemblage. It
it's
looks,
still a it's still a progress.
it's very big progress.
Yeah.
And I'm actually impressed
I
by
mean
the power.
the keyboard, all the keyboards are also assembly. I mean they get, I think the engine is a Japanese maker. I don't know if it's
Okay.
Yamaha or it's one of those.
The most important thing
Uh
is that the knowledge we get in putting these things together. And the good thing is that the human being always seeks higher knowledge. All
exactly.
right.
So there's a lot
Yeah.
of knowledge transfer happening. And that's the progression that China made. It
Mm,
was, when the US companies came in, it was getting a lot of that knowledge
mm,
transfer. So
mm,
before you knew it, they had their own brands that
mm,
were now
mm,
rivaling some of those old and
mm,
established companies. So yeah,
mm.
this is where we begin. And that's also part of, as we said, if we think of manufacturing, I think the model we were looking at is begin one with some of those sort of cottage type businesses. So it could be toothpaste production, as you said. We saw
Yes.
one with a guy who's doing USB
Yes.
cables, little by little, and then nice figuring out what kind of policies can we help turbocharge this kind of cottage industry, such that either we have several of them distributing, or now government maybe sets up like a policy saying all the USB cables that government utilizes, they'll be sourced from this local company. All the cars that government uses, it will be from the likes of Mobius and others. All the motors, and this is, of course it will be knowledge transfer, of course it will be employment, of course it will be local consumption, of course we are reducing a lot of our heavy reliance on foreign exchange, because we are now producing locally and not having to buy things or rather import things into the country. We are now exporting. If this bike is being sold within the region,
So I'm impressed by it, and I'm thinking they did research on where it is operated, because if it is Mombasa, you're
mhm,
not expecting heavy loading, you're not expecting uphills and whatnot. So I think 2.5 kilowatts is okay.
mhm,
Uh, from my end, I'm upgrading my battery to 4.3 kilowatts.
mhm,
That should give you 100 kilometers.
mhm.
So if I'm to sit down with someone and we are talking financing, I would want to center my process or my business in my home area, Busia. Because if you notice, majority of these projects are based in urban areas. And if you keep on going in that trajectory, you are now attracting more people from rural areas to come and work here. As long as you are running this kind of assembly type of whatnot, they should push it, because it's even if when you look at the major manufacturers global, they are not based in the big cities.
Mm.
Yeah, they are based far away. The big cities are mainly service based, banking, whatnot, and
I mean, there are
administration.
industrial towns or cities, so
Yes.
where you would end up having a concentration of those. I mean, I see your point in terms of trying to see how it can be based in Busia, but I guess there's some realities you have to contend with, because if you're going to
Yeah.
start transporting a lot of those spare parts, then it's an added cost. So, I mean,
In
one of the
fact,
reasons
it's
why
cheaper
Mombasa is, how would it
because
be?
with the like a place like Busia.
Mhm,
First off, we have a railway system.
mhm.
From the port, you can be placed on the SGR, then from Bakassi to the MGR. Secondly, in Busia, the capacity for expansion is so good because land is cheaper. If you weigh the mathematics, transportation versus land in Nairobi is damn expensive. To open something that sort of has capacity for expansion,
Mm.
we are talking hundreds of millions of shillings. But Busia, if it is a very huge, expansive land, the most 20, 15, even less. They have a huge expanse of land.
Okay.
The
So
headache
maybe
is
it might sort of balance out
yes,
when
yes.
you itemize all those costs. And I see
Mm.
your point. I mean, all I'm saying is there are certain realities you might contend with, and there's a reason why one you want to
Of
center
course,
some of these things
at
around
startup level,
bigger
at startup
cities. Yeah.
level, at startup level, you'll have to be content with, say, a go down in industrial area.
Mm,
That's a given. That there's no way around it because when you're starting off, when you are given that first seed money, you're not going to look for land in Busia and start clearing trees. No, that's now something else. You need to have your product out there as soon as possible. So a go down industrial area will be okay.
mm,
In fact, for people like us who are building from start, we are thinking of doing a lot of extensive testing.
mm.
So operating from a go down industrial area or some other place within the city is very much in order
Yeah.
because if you cannot tell your first stage financer you are now moving to Busia, the cost of going there, the cost of now because I'm yet to
Even when you
see.
begin retailing, when you begin sort of selling the final product, you have to
You
bring it
can't
in where there's a concentration of
yeah,
customers, and
yes, you have
and
so you
typically
cannot yeah,
it's in the bigger cities.
yes,
I
you
mean,
have to
I
start
agree, and I think the push to go to places like Busia and other towns
mm.
has to be, in a sense, a governmental move.
Yes, it
Um,
has to be
Manufacturers
yes,
like you could begin influencing,
it has
but
to be have some government incentive, some authorities somewhere, because the
correct,
bigger picture is to stem the tide of people coming to Nairobi to look for work.
exactly. Mm,
But before you do that, you must have a lot of people to employ.
exactly.
You
And
cannot
they
go
also
to I can't go to
access.
Busia with a startup
Mhm,
of 70 people.
mhm.
I'm not
And
doing
even where,
anything.
where where typically would you find some of those talents? Most of
Yes,
them are concentrated in the bigger
in
cities.
Nairobi, in the big city. So
So
you have to be seeded in Nairobi. It has to be
exactly.
sprout. It has to sprout from Nairobi. I remember.
Or Mombasa,
Yeah,
and
yes,
even
no
Mombasa
problem.
probably it's
Yeah,
even cheaper because
it's
now
cheaper
you're right
because
on
they
the
come.
port,
You clear from the port and you
and
are there.
boom, it's
Even
yeah.
Scania East Africa, they were in, is it called Bunyala Road in Nairobi
Mm.
for decades before they moved to Mlolongo.
Yeah, yeah.
Before they
I
before they
see where they are.
expanded to
Yeah, yeah.
Mlolongo, they were in Bunyala Road for as long as
Yeah.
Kenya exists, decades upon decades. So when they expanded, is when they went to. So that push, when I talk of Busia, I'm not saying that I get my first few millions, then I ran to Busia. Now, that means I'm going to look for land, start clearing bushes. Now that's another headache altogether. But
Exactly.
first stage, you need something that is ready, a warehouse in
Mm,
Mombasa or something like that. In fact,
mm,
I think this place is called Liwatoni in Mombasa.
mm,
There are
mm.
so many warehouses there, free. You can hire them, start your operations, make yourself known. So now, when you are saying you are expanding to say 500 employees, now you can say I need to move my operations far from the city. So at the end of the day, it's all about uh, making. making your name known where people are many, where there are a lot of concentration, where the product is now visible. Now then you can move somewhere else and keep pushing your products there. So that's all. Lutu family, karibu sana. This gentleman I've talked to, he's very knowledgeable in matters e-mobility. The
Mm.
only problem the only issue that I'm seeing a bit strange,
Mhm.
how come majority of institutions where transport is a necessary headache, I have not seen any adaptation of these vehicles. I'm not seeing staff transfers. I've not seen school buses. I've not seen ambulances. I've not seen short haul goods transportation.
Yeah.
I've
Hmm.
only seen matatus. And that's why
With
when
the
I heard
buses.
George saying,
Mm.
if you're not careful about what you're solving, it may just turn out to be hot air.
Yeah,
Because
at the moment, I also don't see some kind of a plan with the
mm,
government. It's just like because it seems like a hot,
because that
then now we're just.
vehicle, that Basigo, that's BYD 6,
Mm,
what is preventing someone from converting it into a bread van? What is converting you some that is in fact for purpose of a school bus, just paint it yellow and you have a school bus.
100%.
Some
Yeah.
bit of retrofitting here and there, you have an ambulance.
You know what, Brian? I'm gonna challenge you. You know, you need to become a voice, a thought leader on this subject of e-mobility.
Mm.
If you could start penning down some of these ideas, how best do we transition to the green economy? Is it just bringing in a bunch of electric vehicles, or is there some kind of a transition phased approach around it? And then you could speak of which are some of the areas where we'll begin seeing the needle move in terms of reducing our petrol reliance on fossil fuels. Areas where there's a bigger demand. Let's start with
It's,
schools.
in
Let's start
fact,
with lorries and transportation. This kind of things, and then
we call them,
before we become fully
we look at areas
electric,
where
this is
I
some of the
normally, that's why
roadmap towards that.
I keep on repeating areas where transport is a necessary headache.
Mm,
Like the person supplying gas, those gas
mhm,
trucks, not that LPG truck, those guys which who go around supplying gas canisters for cooking.
mhm, mhm.
Those vehicles are still electric, and they
Mm,
are still petrol. They don't go far.
yeah.
Yeah. So it is something that can be followed from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Give us your movement. If it is short haul where something is going back and forth, make it electric. Ministry of Education, schools. We don't want to put a lot of pressure on people. Let's start with schools in urban areas where we're 100% aware there's supply of electricity. Incentives for use of electric vehicles.
And
Kenya Association, and the
this
same Kenya
go.
Association of Manufacturers, a good number of factories, normally for purpose of logistics and manufacturing operations, smooth manufacturing operations, they provide staff transfers. A vehicle that moves only in the morning and in the evening. Your core function is not transport, but you need it to run properly, right? Like in your office, your core duty is IT, not manufacturing, not making coffee. But there are times you need coffee just to, hence, to set the things in motion, like the what you are drinking right now. So that's why you have a kettle and tea bags. All right. You don't have to set up a mini coffee brewing uh, factory in your office. That's not your core function. And you need to get the cheapest coffee available, not poor quality, but something because that is you're not a coffee connoisseur. You want to like have the best coffee experience in your office and whatnot. No, this is something just to keep things running. Same with the electrical mobility. We need to target those people who scratch their heads when they look at fuel bills and they know this is kazi yangu. You are doing stuff transfer, but you have to pay a driver. You have to do it assembling, what you call maintenance of gearbox filters, and you say, but this is not my work. So those are the people we need to be targeting.
And what you're bringing out, and I guess this is more in a general sense, shows how Africa is really a bitch sometimes,
Mm.
because we are just there to jump on agendas, maybe
Yeah.
because we'll get some kind of funding.
Mm.
We're just there to push agendas which are not of our own.
Yeah.
If the government now was asked, what's your plan regarding e-mobility, without even looking at what influences they are getting from external parties, what is your plan? And then how much are we following through with that? Because, and it doesn't have to be e-mobility, it could be a number of other areas.
There are so many things, because at the end of the
Because
day, e-mobility in another, let's say, the developed world, where they have been having generations of factories which are polluting the air, for them is about cleaning the air. Our level of industrialization has not gone to a point of saying we are polluting our
exactly,
air. So
yeah,
our issue, okay, if you are to ask me, my issue is dollar consumption.
that's one. Yeah,
So we should
definitely.
adopt e-mobility to reduce the number of zeros in our consumption, to reduce the dependence on the dollar. So if you're saying, hi, you are going to do matatus, already the matatu industry, this is an industry that is fraught with the money laundering. They'll be happy to spend so much on fuel so that their books look nice. So, but if you go to manufacturing, these are the people who are crying about cost. So if you say, okay, we are going to give an incentive for this mileage covered per year on e-mobility. For this mileage covered in your first financial year on e-mobility, this is the incentive you are getting. You go to just say incentive per kilometer covered on green energy. Simple as that. So when you say green, let's say this percentage on full green, and this percentage on half green, like hybrids. Or immediately, most factories will pressurize on hybrids, because hybrids you can go anywhere. Hybrid is especially a series hybrid. The vehicles we have, like the Harrier hybrid, the Honda, it's called Honda hybrid, or Toyota Prius, and field hybrids. These are parallel hybrids, which are very funny vehicles, to be sincere. I've never understood the thinking of somebody who's making a parallel hybrid, because it works against you. Because
What's a parallel hybrid?
a parallel hybrid is whereby you have like a Formula One car, you have the engine, gearbox, the engine, clutch, gearbox, then up to the differential. Then you see that line: engine, clutch, gearbox, differential. Then parallel to it, there's a battery and a motor, which you can connect to the gearbox to provide power. So based on the amount of power available, it can balance between full battery or full engine, or in between. Now the
Mm,
problem is this: we have a full vehicle, then this parallel thing also have its own weight. It's heavy also. That lithium battery is heavy. That motor has some weight. So you are
mm,
actually burdening the vehicle. And in some cases, they've said some of these vehicles are also good in terms of emissions, because it's heavier. But a series which I really root for, there's no gearbox. It's
mm.
simply that engine, you've put an alternator, so it's a
I
generator.
see. Yeah.
Then you've put a motor on the axle. So you're simply transmitting power from the engine to the wheels using wires,
Mm,
instead of using a mechanical gearbox.
mm.
Is the best way of doing a
So a
hybrid. And in fact,
series-based engine as opposed to a parallel-based system.
yeah, and in fact, I think the
Being in
latest
a gearbox. Okay.
Nissan, I mean, Nissan. What is this called? Is it called this Nissan SUV? I don't know why its name keeps disappearing.
Which one is this? I
And
also
I'm not.
forget because there are
Uh,
fewer here. Here we have a lot of
it's
Hyundai's
a
and Kias.
crossover. It's a crossover. It's a
It's
Nissan
a crossover.
crossover.
Yeah, I know it.
Okay,
Um,
let me just Google. I don't know
let
why
me look.
this name. You have become so Toyotaized until you are
Nissan
thinking like,
SUVs.
hmm, I don't know why. It's crazy. I'm forgetting the
I
name. It
know
starts with the,
there
why,
is the. Ish, I'm
I
getting
don't know.
different.
This is crazy. Why,
It's a
yeah,
very common. It's a very common
ah,
brand.
ah,
Very common in Kenya, by the way. I know.
ah. Let me just
Uh,
check Nissan Kenya because now this is serious.
yeah,
It should not be.
I'm also getting. I'm also getting from other markets. Like here, like the VW crossovers. We have the Touareg and the other one. What do you call the other one?
Turan.
Tiguan.
There's
Ye-
Tiguan, there's Turan also.
yes. Here there is a
Hmm.
new one called Terramount.
It's
It's
called
actually
X
quite
Trail. It's called the X
X
Trail.
Trail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nissan X Trail. So the 20, I think the 2020 Nissan X Trail is a hybrid that
Mhm.
runs on motors. That is a series
Okay.
hybrid. Series. It has, I think, it has quad motors. So that is the best vehicle you'd ever want to buy right now. In fact, if your pockets were full, your parking lot should have one, a Nissan X Trail, two, what we call Jack EVs. That's a fully electric four-wheel drive double cabin. But
Okay.
those are the only people I've seen with a series hybrid. But these things of using gearboxes and whatnot,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. So from our end, our driving force should be dollar minimization. So part of dollar minimization includes long distance goods transport. Like you have a policy if you're transporting
You know,
your trucks is your
what I
truck is
think you're
moving.
trying to say, and I don't want to look at it down to that. It has to be a policy
Yes.
that informs.
Mm,
Of course, we have to go now to the nitty gritties. But once you set the policy, then it
mm,
will look at every aspect of it. Now it goes to manufacturing. And now
yes.
manufacturing goes into, we are trying to transition from fossil fuels to the green economy. How
Mm.
do we do it? Is it a complete overhaul where we move from fossil fuels to electric cars, or is it phased? So that
And
informs.
with
Then
the
also we start
incentives in
talking
between.
about what are these other things we source through, we import with dollars. Could be now
Mm,
fuel. Then now
mm,
we go through that other early approach where you say, let's do bulk buying. Why don't we
mm,
come together as a region?
mm.
And this will be one way now we implement. So it'll cut across very many things. Let's import less, export more. And then
So
now
at the
it
end
looks
of
at
the day,
all those sectors.
you'll
Yes.
actually come to find that that e-mobility actually occupies a very small facet of the project.
100%. Yeah.
It's just a bit like, for example, if you say a policy uh, for long distance transportation of goods, if you are going past 300 kilometers, our policy is that you load your truck on a train. Now, when you are loading on a train, obviously you pay something, but it won't be as much as what you are spending on fuel. Number two, interruptions of your journey. Number three, what you spend on vehicle wear and tear, those companies you buy in dollars. Imagine a vehicle moving from Mombasa on a train, so on a train being carried from Mombasa to Nakuru. What he has paid, there's zero tire wear because once he gets to Nakuru, he'll drive to that last mile destination. Tire
Mm.
wear, nearly zero. Engine wear, nearly zero. Springs, shock absorbers, driver fatigue. It's actually balances it out nicely. Even if that train is going to take 15 hours, look at the upside of the component wear and tear, which is the main headache, plus driver fatigue. Driver gets there, you've made a booking for the return train to Mombasa, and you're good to go. So it's you'll find that this thing of e-mobility will occupy at mostly border and small movements within the city.
Mm.
The overlying structure of the general policy, then back it up with things like the what called the what do we call the cottage industries in these
Yes.
rural areas, so that there's no need for a lot of bulk movement of finished goods. You're simply moving a lot of finished goods by train, like
Mm.
one train that is carrying a lot of carrying a lot of raw materials that will offload for factories in Nakuru, cottage industries in Nakuru or Kericho. The train will stop there. Then the last mile is when the electrics will take over. So it's a very this is can be a very huge document whereby the e-mobility just comes in here to polish up to polishing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
This
not that
is.
e-mobility is not the big thing. Should be the opposite. Those
Mm.
general policies, then the e-mobility is to support last mile transportation, distribution over certain areas and whatnot. So I think we are admiring the cream, but we don't know how what is the cake underneath.
You see, it goes back to that topic we say we are not builders. We are kind
Mm,
of like copycats and consumers of things that are, brought to us, and
mm,
we don't understand the why, and we should be the one. I was actually commenting the other day on um, one of the reasons, and I think we've spoken about this. One of the reasons why a lot of local startups have failed, particularly those that are funded by foreign-based venture capital companies, and it's still the same thing. They are trying to create copycats from the West, of course, to appease the very people that fund them. And even when they try to localize, it's not at a deeper level. So we are not studying our own problems and trying to devise our own homegrown solutions that we build from the ground up. So we are just trying to buy solutions from other places and then maybe tweak them a little bit to adapt them to our area, and they will probably serve us to some degree. But if you
to some
don't,
degree.
yes,
Mm,
if you don't think of Kenya and the problems that somebody in Kibera
mm.
encounters, how they navigate their life there, if their expenses are on a day to day, if they live on the Kadongo economy, that's how they fashion themselves. So looking at the behaviors, the nuances that are there, and then building it from that perspective, building it so we are not understanding our own real problems. And
And
of
like
course,
when you talk
mm,
of the electric buses, which is
yes,
okay, but have you understood the fact that majority of small these personal vehicle owners, a good number, not all of them, but a sizable number are behind the wheel of their car because of
mm,
the chaos of the public sector, public transport.
yes,
I am better off with a diesel powered bus or a diesel powered transportation system that works so well that people will park their cars from Monday to Friday. I have no problem with that
good
because
rate
now
systems
it's
and the
it's a
like.
it's a bulk, it's a mass transporter. That diesel, it's a diesel consumer that is carrying 45 people. Those are 45 cars which are parked somewhere, as
I don't
opposed
know
to
why we don't
an
have.
electric vehicle which
Mm,
is being driven by the same chaotic bunch of characters. It's just the same lot. Why don't you
yeah,
come up with a system that works so well that the day you decide, let me do some experiment, park my car and use these buses, you'll say, good. Magari ni ya weekend peke yake. That's a win.
and I think we were so this idea of benchmarking that we always have to look to others for solutions.
Are, are,
And,
are their
and, and, I,
problems same as
and I
ours?
mean, there's a bit of a balance in terms of you don't want to reinvent the wheel,
Mm,
but I think some things are just uniquely us, and the only
mm.
way to create solutions that really resolve those problems is if we are thinking
See,
So
when you are
we
doing
should have a
benchmarking,
confidence in ourselves and how we problem solve.
when you are doing benchmarking, those people you are benchmarking at, do they have the same problems as yours?
They don't.
Eh,
They
If me, I'm
don't.
living in Athi River and I want to do what you call benchmarking, and I go to a house in Runda, some 6 bedroom mansion there with 5 cars parked, then I want to see what they are doing. I, boss, what are you really talking of?
Correct.
You'll
Correct.
go to you probably go to someone and he'll tell you the problem they are having is that they are bored. They have visited every country in the world, so they don't know what to do. Are you really in
Mm.
the same category with this kind of individual?
You've heard of those cases where our guys have gone so many times to Singapore until one time, I don't know how true the story is.
Hmm.
I think there was a time they went and, it's always a good excuse for most of these public officials to earn some per diem. They were told, no, no more benchmarking, no more this kind of benchmarking tours. I don't know what they call them, learning tours. Go and implement first what we gave you 5, 10 years
Or
ago. And then
talk to
you
the
come
people
back
who are
with
here.
feedback.
Talk to those who
Yeah.
came here previously.
Or do
Talk
a
to them.
Zoom call. Why do you have to go down all the way?
Do a Zoom call or talk to whoever was here. See, there were others who are here from your
Exactly.
country.
Those public officials, just put them in some nice hotel in
Yeah.
Kenya and learn
No,
from
not
them.
hotel. Meet in the boardroom. See, there's a boardroom there. Muongee huko. Right.
Man,
So
good
1 hour
stuff.
11 minutes. That's nice.
Yes.
Nice. So shout out to our lone wolf audience, Sharif Mustafa and our brother Lut family. Once again, Lut family, thanks so much. You gave me some bit of consultation on matters e-mobility. Much appreciation, bro. Much appreciation.
Yeah, let me write here something.
Okay.
We appreciate your company and support.
Hmm.
So thanks a lot, Loot family, Sharif Mustafa, and everyone else who's been watching our content. You know, we do what we do.
Hmm.
Salute. And I think we can call it a day.
Wait a day and adios from Athi River.
From Kigali, Rwanda.